Today's video is brought to you by Audible. Get your free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at www.audibletrial.com/MagzTV or click the link in the video description down below. G'day ladies and gents, and welcome back to the cold waters of the Barents Sea. We are currently 125 kiloyards north of the port of Gremikha in the Soviet Union, and we are here to perform a TLAM or Tomahawk land attack missile strike. Now you'll recall I did one of these not all that long ago, and it didn't work out all that well. My objective was to deliver 8 TLAMs to target. I have exactly the same mission this time. However, only 7 of them made it through, so I failed the objective. This time I have 4 in the tubes, and I have another 6 in the hull, so I have 10 total.
Aye, sir.
Tube 2 away,
Aye, sir.
and tube 4 is now clear. So, as we watch the Tomahawks take off, as I mentioned, we are 125 kiloyards away from the target. This is, if we are perfectly honest, stupidly close to our launch zone. It's difficult to identify exactly which version of the Tomahawk missile is in usage in cold waters, because there are actually multiple types, and the one we have in cold waters is just listed as a TLAM, or Tomahawk land attack missile. However, as the game is based in 1984 for this particular campaign, it's logical that the Tomahawk in usage would either be the Tomahawk A or the Tomahawk C. To give you an idea of how stupidly close 125 kiloyards for a launch actually is for Tomahawk missiles, the Tomahawk A has a maximum range of 1,350 nautical miles, which is 2,734 kiloyards. Now, if we make an assumption that we're using the Tomahawk C, which actually has a slightly lower range of only 900 nautical miles, that's still a maximum range of 1,822 kiloyards. Now, of course, submarines don't launch generally from the absolute maximum range that the missiles have capable. Part of the reason for this is the further away you're launching, the longer your enemy has to actually identify that a missile is coming in and deploy whatever countermeasures or anti-missile systems they have available to try and counter the missile incoming. That being said, they still don't get to 125 kiloyards for a launch. Ideally, Tomahawk Cs would be launched from somewhere between 1,200 to 1,500 kiloyards from target, with the longer range Tomahawk A's being somewhere between 1,800 kiloyards out to 2,200 kiloyards for your optimal release range. Now, of course, cold waters doesn't actually allow you to do that. You have to get very close to target in order to be able to run a release. And this has mostly been done that way for gameplay purposes, because otherwise it would be entirely possible for you to sit in a section of the open ocean, lob out 8 TLAMs with no chance of being intercepted, and then just bugger off. And first missile is on target, there is a second. Third missile impact. And there's an explosion over in the distance that looks like missile 4 hit the target. And if I adjust the camera here, sure enough, looking down the coast, we have 4 fireballs. So missiles 1 through 4 have impacted the target zone. I'm only 4 short from completing the mission. Now, while 125 kiloyards off the shore is still extremely close for a TLAM launch, it is still far enough away in cold waters that I wasn't initially detected. The enemy is now aware that I am here. The Soviets are looking for me, but none of them were close enough to get an exact location on where those missiles come from. However, now I'm in the process of firing out 4 more, and I am only moving at 5 knots to keep myself as quiet as possible, so at this point, they're gonna see me. Well, not directly, but they're going to be able to triangulate my location close enough to actually start deploying weapons against me, and hoping that they're close enough. And in fact, you can already hear the first aircraft coming in, so they've got a fair idea where I am now. So they're going to start deploying Sonar Boys, and I can expect to see helicopters coming in soon enough. In fact, first splash. and we have no sonar pings tracking us at this point, so I would say that was a sonar buoy that just hit the water starting to look for me. And yes, we zoom out to the large map and we can see just off our port side to the rear a sonar buoy in the water. Now, this is where things start getting interesting. The sonar buoys can detect for, well, it depends on the type, but we're talking tens to hundreds of nautical miles. The assumption would be for cold waters that they would be using something in the tens of nautical miles, which is extremely accurate within a smaller area. This is a problem. To avoid sonar buoys in cold waters, you have to move incredibly slowly. If the buoy is close enough, even 5 knots in silent running, they are still going to detect you. But if you can put a big enough gap between that sonar buoy and the next sonar buoy that gets dropped on you by an aircraft, while also staying below 5 knots, you can break away from them and the aircraft will stop dropping sonar buoys on you. It takes a bit of practice and a bit of effort to be able to pull it off, but it's entirely possible to do. But this is, of course, assuming that you do not have to maneuver around torpedoes, which is exactly what's happening now. We've got 2 sonar buoys dropped. The first one was close enough that they managed to get my location, but not enough to triangulate me. Aircraft has come over and dropped a second sonar buoy ahead in the direction that I am going. And then I've received 2 airdrop torpedoes that have hit the waters. Now, they haven't been close enough to detect my submarine. As you can see, they've gone into a circular search pattern. But what these are is now effectively area denial weapons. They are running active sonars. If I turn south at the moment, they will detect me and they will move to destroy me, which means I cannot turn south. I have to turn north, which is actually going to take me closer to that sonar buoy. This is pretty much going to guarantee that the sonar buoy detects me, in which case well, at the range that I'm at now, I probably already have airborne torpedoes coming straight in for me, so I'm at this point just waiting for them to arrive. And sure enough, they're already in the air. Now, the only thing I've got going for myself at this point is while I am absolutely sure every single Soviet vessel in the area is currently rushing towards my location, I'm still far enough away from all of them that I have not got solid sonar connections to any of them at this point. They are outside of my maximum detection range. And that is the transient for a torpedo arriving, and there it is, off my starboard side. Now I've got bugger all room to maneuver here at the moment. I'm only in 266 feet of water. I am going to throttle up here as well because I'm right underneath that sonar buoy. They're going to be able to detect me just fine, regardless of what speed I'm doing, and I'm going to fire off a Moss directly towards my 6, and I'm hoping that will pick up this torpedo when I dodge it next, providing I dodge it next, and drag it away. At least that's the hope. And checking the map, we now have another torpedo coming in. We now have 2. They're a bit hard to see at the moment, as I said, low visibility mod, but they are close at this point. And it looks like both have grabbed onto the Moss, so we're good for the moment. The only problem is the Moss didn't get enough distance between me and where those torpedoes intercepted it. So now the torpedoes have recognized that they've just found a countermeasure, and they're going into a search pattern coming back.
Torpedo in the water. Torpedo in the water. Bearing 184.
Another torpedo. Great. And unfortunately, despite going ultra quiet, they managed to acquire me again. Countermeasure deployed. And yep, we are cavitating. There's nothing we can do about it this time. I need the speed. I don't care about the noise. Aircraft coming in again. It's either going to drop another torpedo or it's going to drop another sonar buoy to keep us mapped. And these 2 torps are coming in together.
Passing 200 feet.
Maximum up on the plane, up on the ballast, and that is bloody close. We come up pretty aggressively there, so I'm actually going to pop the top of the conning tower out of the water, so hopefully nobody was looking at their radars right at that particular moment. Now the torpedoes tracking me have split port and starboard, so I'm going to deploy another Moss directly to my rear.
221, aye sir.
There's no way that these torpedoes are going to pick up on the Moss on the launch, because they're going to turn back in and acquire me. However, I'm betting that I can dodge these torpedoes again. Now, when I dodge them again, they're going to go back into their search pattern, and I'm hoping that they will re-pick up that Moss, and this time the Moss will be far enough away to drag them outside of detection range of my submarine. Countermeasure out. Torpedoes have gone evasive. They're both so close together at this point, they look like a single stream, but there's actually 2 torpedoes in there. With the Ultra Realism mod, if either one of those hits, I'm dead. If both of them hit, I'm... yeah.
Make turns for 10 knot. Con sonar.
And... looks like we're safe. The torpedoes are turned away. They've both acquired the moss. One of them just exploded, so there's one gone. The other torpedo is still tracking.
Making turns for 10 knots.
And it looks like it's pretty locked onto the moss. At this point, I should be out of the detection range of the torpedoes themselves, so I should actually be safe. There we have it. That was a bit of excitement, and there we go. Definitely safe now. It is torpedoes ran out of fuel, so it's auto-detonated, and that is just the moss disappearing off into the distance. And hopefully, with that moss being so close to the sonar buoy, it's going to distract the aircraft for long enough for me to open a little bit of a gap between myself and that last sonar buoy. Unfortunately, not everything went quite to plan. The aircraft was doing a pretty good job of keeping a track on me, and I was trying to work out exactly how for the longest time. More than once I should have opened up enough of a gap between myself and the sonar buoys to not be tracked, and I was changing direction fairly regularly. Until I got myself off the bottom and almost immediately picked up a sensor contact that was trailing me between all the sonar buoys. Sierra 2 is a military ship that's finally managed to catch up with me. Because I can only do 5 knots avoiding the sonar buoys, but it can cruise along quite comfortably at whatever speed it wants to cruise along at.
Sonar Sierra 2 is classified as escort.
And sure enough, target Sierra 1 is a Curovac 1. Equipped with a towed sonar array, the Curovac would have been able to detect me earlier on when I was avoiding the torpedoes, when I was cavitating, making hard maneuvers, and really not going out of my way to be quiet. And it's likely been tracking me since then and providing extra information to the aircraft in order for it to accurately drop the sonar buoys and continue tracking me. Now at this point, looking at the SNS computer, it shouldn't be able to see me with anything, including its towed sonar at this point. I've been quiet enough for long enough that it shouldn't have a beat on me. But I can still only do 5 knots while I'm avoiding the sonar buoys, and it can cruise along quite comfortably at 20. Eventually it's going to get close enough to detect me again, so I'm going to have to sink it if I want to escape the area.
Shoot 2-1, aye sir.
Torpedo away. Right as an aircraft's passing overhead, but thankfully, once again, this is the 3rd or 4th time it's passed over the top of me, and no sonar buoys in the water. So either the aircraft is out of sonar buoys to deploy, which I would find extremely unlikely, or it's actually lost track of me and it's trying to work out exactly where I am to start dropping the next ones, because the aircraft will not drop sonar buoys unless it has a reasonable idea where you are. Or more to the point, a reasonable idea of the area you are operating in, so it can use the sonar buoys to try and work out specifically where you are. Torpedo has acquired target. Tracking in on Curovac. And Curovac has heard the torpedo and is beginning its maneuvers.
Bearing 219.
Countermeasures deployed against the torpedo. The ship's moving in an S pattern. Torpedo has overshot and begun turn back. It's reacquired Curovac.
Con, fire control, weapon acquired.
And it's making its turn in to strike. At this point,
Con, fire control, weapon acquired.
it's all over.
Con, sonar, new contact bearing 176, designated Sierra 3.
With the destruction of the Kirovac, I am now free to select a course and start getting the hell out of the area, and just in time too, because I've just started picking up sonar contacts from the other Soviet ships that are coming into the region. They are all likely to converge on top of those Sonar Boys and the sunken wreck of the Kirovac, which opens me a window to head to the northeast and actually get the hell out of the area. And this time our mission was successful. Mission update: well done on a successful land strike. Initial reports indicate extensive damage was sustained by the target. Stand by for additional orders. So I feel quite redeemed after successfully completing the land strike mission, this time without taking a torpedo, which is very important because with the new mods I'm running, that would have likely killed me, and without actually failing the mission this time. Anyways, ladies and gents, I'm going to call this video here. I hope you've enjoyed it, and thank you very much for watching. As always, links to my sponsor for the channel, Audible, are in the video description down below. Please check them out. They are a fantastic service. And also, if you would like to help support the channel directly, links to my Patreon are also in the video description down below. Until next time, remember to click that like button, subscribe if you want to see more and haven't done so already, and as always, dive smart, dive safe, and I'll catch you in the depths.